Welcome to Booktopia TV. I'm John Purcell, and I'm here with best-selling author Matthew Riley to talk about his new book, The Tournament. Welcome, Matthew.
It's great to be here. It's hard to do an interview while playing chess.
It is. You want to concentrate on what's going on here. But we're here to talk about your wonderful new novel, The Tournament, which I've read and a few of the others here have read and we've all enjoyed. We've been passing around our proof copy. One of the joys of working in the book industry is you get an early copy. I know what it's about, but many people out there don't know what it's about yet. Do you want to give a bit of a summary of what the book's about?
Sure. The year is 1546, and the Sultan of the Islamic Empire invites every king of Europe to send his champion to compete in the world's first chess tournament. We follow the English delegation, among which is a 13-year-old Princess Elizabeth, who will grow up to be Queen Elizabeth I. And she goes with her teacher Roger Ascham to Constantinople to view this tournament, but on the first night of the tournament, a rather grisly murder takes place, and the Sultan co-opts Ascham into solving the crime while the tournament goes on. So there's lots of murder, lots of comment on the ancient world, and actually how the ancient world, or the medieval world, impinges and still survives in our world today.
I found that very interesting. The historical aspect of the novel is bringing in very well-known historical figures. Michelangelo's in it, St. Ignatius is in it. What's his name?
Ivan the Terrible.
Ivan the Terrible's in it. I mean, at the teenage Ivan the Terrible, what a wonderful character.
It was set. All my previous books have been set really present-day action thrillers. It was really liberating to set a book in the 1500s, and as I researched the novel, I found that the mid-1500s were this pivotal moment in history. Why did the Sultan and his Islamic Empire not sweep across Europe? And I was looking into that. But I also found, at the time, there were all these amazing historical figures who were alive. So Henry VIII, Princess Elizabeth, Roger Ascham, Michelangelo, and Queen Elizabeth I would correspond with Ivan the Terrible later in life. And we know that Ivan the Terrible did a lot of awful things, but in 1546, when the tournament takes place, he's about 15 years old. So it gave me this wonderful opportunity to invent in a fictional way, what does a tyrant look like when he's 15? That's the great fun that I had writing the book.
One thing that stands out for me as a reader of your other novels is that it's a far more adult book. There is adult content in two forms. Can you tell me about those?
I was very concerned, even when you see page 1 of the book, there's a little note from me as the author saying this book contains adult themes, and I think it's appropriate for mature readers. There are some quite graphic sex scenes in the book. That's actually not what I'm worried about. I know my books have appealed to younger readers, especially teenage readers. The adult themes actually concern some of the pedophilia which takes place by some of the churchmen in the story, and I think that is something which is quite adult, even though any 13-year-old could probably turn on the TV news any night of the week and find a story about exactly that topic. I am concerned though, because I know people will buy my books as gifts, and I think this book is for pretty much readers over sort of 14 and up.
Yeah. That mix between your traditional fast-paced thriller with a bit more of the detective side of things, but with this you're serving up real history and real chunks of history, nice bits of knowledge for any young person, or even bits in there that I had no idea about. It was wonderful to learn about some of the sides of Turkish culture at that time, and just how close it came to the Ottoman Empire taking over Europe. Those little snippets of history are the sort of the pill amongst all the honey. It's a wonderful way of getting history to kids and to young readers.
I've always loved history, and you can go back to some of my other books. Temple had large portions of historical content, the Jack West Jr. series. With this one, I just love being able to look at history and jump into the 1500s and live it. But I also remember that when I read the Da Vinci Code for the first time back in about 2002, 2003, I read parts of the book, and then I jumped online to look it up. And I know when people read the tournament, if something appeals to them, they can pull out their phone or jump on their computer and go and look it up. This is the world we live in. A big influence on me right from the start was Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park, The Great Train Robbery. And I always felt Michael Crichton told you a fantastic cracker of a story, a really fast-paced roller coaster ride, but you could also learn something. I think the whole world learned about DNA from Jurassic Park. And it was also Crichton who taught me that I could write lots of present-day action thrillers, and as he did with The Great Train Robbery, write a book set in the past. Why not? It's still got a Matthew Riley engine, it just has a 1500s sort of wrapped around it.
And there are some, with the chess game in the middle, we're seeing some of the chess moves, some of the ways in which people think about strategizing within their life. Coupled with that, you've got the great relationship between Ascham and the young Elizabeth. And she's learning so many things as you go through the mystery, and they both try to work out who done it. Statesmanship, how to run a country, how to be good but also be effective. There's these wonderful lessons the whole way through, and that was a real joy especially when you're considering that we don't have many of those kinds of lessons given to us in popular media. It's just not, and this is a great way to be exposed to rational and reasonable thinking.
A friend of mine read the manuscript of the book and said, it's a bit of a slow burn, the murder doesn't take place on page 1, it takes place a few pages in. And I said, that's not the story. The book is not about the murder, the book is about Elizabeth. And that starts on page 1. The whole book is about, because we know Queen Elizabeth was arguably Britain's greatest monarch, presided over the golden era of British life, where Shakespeare wrote his plays, the defeat of the Spanish Armada, expansion into the American territories, and she famously never married. And I wanted to explore why. What was there a formative influence in her life? How do you create this amazing historical figure? And my answer was, who taught her? Who was her teacher? And we know that Elizabeth's father was Henry VIII. And Henry VIII is the ultimate absent father. He had Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth's mother, executed. So I find Elizabeth and Ascham, it's a student-teacher relationship, but it's also a daughter with this surrogate father who genuinely cares about her. There's one of my favourite lines in the book is where she says to him, don't you have other things you want to do? He says, yeah, I've got lots of important projects I want to do, but there's one which is occupying my mind at the moment. She says, what's that? And he says, you. And I think that's wonderful. I think we all wish we had this teacher who took this interest in us and wanted to make us great. So the book is about how you become great.
Yeah, I just want to, there's all these wonderful things in it, all these quite deep and informative sides to it, but at its heart, as you said earlier, it is got the Matthew Riley engine, and once you pick it up, you'll read it within 2 nights if you've got the time. You want to keep moving right through it, and I applaud you on that, because it's a really fine balance between all that info and keeping that plot moving along, and it's so effortless, or feels effortless. I think it wasn't effortless. It feels effortless, and it's a great achievement, and an absolute must for anyone going on holiday, going on a plane. Grab it and take it with you. You can pre-order now at Booktopia, and we still have just a few signed copies left. Matthew has spent the last hour signing books for us, which has been great. Thank you very much for coming,
John. Thank you for having me.
And we didn't get to our chess game, but I found our conversation more interesting. I think it was very, very nice to hear from the author's mouth about this new wonderful book.
Mate, thank you.